L'ordonnance du 17 novembre 1958 impose aux personnes auditionnées de prêter serment, de dire la vérité, toute la vérité, rien que la vérité.
Je le jure.
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 Betharram treated kids as a punching bag, like a place of torture.
Generations of our youth have been destroyed.
Betharram's a boot camp propped up by the institutions.
They are all abusers, all of these priest directors.
An educational institution that had long seemed sacred, untouchable. This Catholic school is located just a stone's throw from the pilgrimage site of Lourdes. Betharram, an imposing building, witness to 200 years of history, including decades of sexual abuse that have been hidden, denied, and silenced. The ghosts of Betharram have decided to speak out, regardless of the consequences. Wilfried was 14 when he started at the boarding school.
Here's a beautiful landscape, but it was an ordeal for me. 30 kilometers away, they are said to perform miracles. Here, they made it into a living hell.
This former pupil is one of the last to lodge a legal complaint. Like hundreds of others, Wilfried's childhood died here.
When I came here, I was a normal kid. When I left, I was a violent one, because violence had become a way of communicating for me. You think, what am I doing in this hellhole? I didn't spend 2 years in boarding school. I spent 2 years in prison.
Wilfried remembers the beatings, the fear, and the arbitrary punishments. But there's another trauma he's never talked about. It took 33 years for him to understand that he had been molested. It was this Facebook page that brought it all back.
I had thrown everything away from that time, burnt it all, put it in the rubbish. 2 months ago, when I was talking to a friend, he said, "I've got the yearbook with class photos. Would you be interested?" I said, yes, I'm interested. I couldn't remember anything. When I saw those photos, I realized I'd been there, and little by little, a lot of things came back to me. Father Caricar's assault came back to me when I saw photos of the building, of the inside, the staircase, and his office. And that's when it all came back. I'm lucky in a way that I had a bad reaction when it happened, that I was able to push him away quite violently. That's what put an end to the... Let's say it put an end to him thinking that I was the ideal victim.
The first complaints reached the courts in the mid-1990s. At the time, the Minister of Education was a well-known local figure.
The question of institutional responsibility quickly came up. There was this silence that we simply can't understand, that we can't interpret, which is that of the most powerful elected official in Béarn, namely François Bayrou, who is intertwined with the history of Notre-Dame de Betharram. His children went to school there. His wife taught catechism there. He was close to the institution. But in 2024, when a collective was being formed and many articles were being published in the regional press, well, François Bayrou was totally silent on the matter.
But the French Prime Minister had to break his silence in February before the National Assembly.
Mr. Paul Varnier for the France Insoumise Party.
Mr. Prime Minister, why didn't you protect the pupils of Notre-Dame de Betharram who were victims of sexual assault?
I attest that I've never been informed of any violence or abuse, especially sexual violence. I never have. When the first complaint was lodged, I had already left the Ministry of Education months earlier.
When you delve into the archives of the 1990s and you speak to the people involved, it is absolutely certain that François Bayrou was aware both of a climate of physical violence and of the existence of sexual violence within the school.
Under serious political pressure, François Bayrou took action. On a visit to his stronghold of Pau, he met the victims and the emotion was palpable.
Mr. Prime Minister, you must realise how much pain we're in. It's all up to us to denounce this code of silence. Hear our unending cries that will resonate forever, deep in our guts.
For the first time, François Bayrou seemed to be taking the affair seriously.
It was deeply moving, pure and simple. The expression of truth, the truth of someone's life. And some of those lives have probably been broken.
But he expressed no remorse.
Everything I should have done when I was a minister, I did. And I did everything I thought I had to do when I was no longer a minister. Saying mea culpa means it's my fault, and I assure you, it's not.
It was too little, too late. A National Assembly inquiry was launched. This time it wasn't just a few journalists listening to the chilling accounts of the victims. The whole of France was witness to what these voices from the past had to say.
I had children who were crushed by tiredness, and from time to time, one of them would have their head fall on the desk. The first time that happened, I was surprised, so I wanted to find out more. I asked around and was told it's nothing serious. You see, the children didn't want to say too much. They told me, it's okay, there were problems in the dorms last night, we couldn't sleep. This sort of thing was happening with alarming frequency. The children had to stand at the foot of their beds for 2 or 3 hours.
She also says she witnessed a violent scene in Elisabeth Bayrou's presence. She was teaching catechism while her husband was Minister of Education.
On my left, in a room, I heard an adult yelling at a child. He was hitting him. I could hear the blows. And Madame Bayrou was coming towards me. So stupidly, I said to her, what can we do? And she didn't understand what I was expecting from her. It was clear that she didn't understand. So there you go.
The former teacher says that she tried to tell the minister what was going on.
At the very beginning of '95, I started to report it. I wrote to Mr. Bayrou. The school nurse had already done so some time before without any reply. I also didn't get a reply. I wrote a letter and sent it to the court, no reply. I went to the police station and they said, oh yes, we know, we know.
François Bayrou has always challenged these reports.
Can you see the sort of scandal they're trying to whip up? I don't know these people. My wife doesn't know them either.
The teacher also says that at the time, the diocese asked her to keep quiet.
The only person who contacted me was a representative of the diocese administration, who summoned me to an office in a nursery school in Pau, where he explained to me with great courtesy and a very delicate way that first of all, I would be dishonoring my family if I wanted to go through with it, and above all, that if I wanted to keep teaching in Catholic schools, I had to forget all about it.
The institution appeared to be untouchable. At Betharram Cemetery, one grave symbolizes the cloak of silence which concealed the worst cases of abuse for years. Father Caricard, who ran the school from 1987 to 1993. In 1998, a young man revealed that he'd been raped by him at the age of 10. The examining magistrate at the time has vivid memories of the incident. Interviewed by video link, he described it in detail to the commission.
On the day the child's father died, Caricart took care of the child. He woke him up and took him to his private shower room where he undressed him. Then he tried to penetrate him. He was unable to do so because the child reacted instinctively. So he inserted his penis into the child's mouth and ejaculated in the child's mouth and on his face.
Father Caricart will never answer for this crime. When the priest was released from police custody, the magistrate spoke to the investigating police officer about an anomaly in the case.
Mr. Mirand was waiting for me at the door of his office, and he told me the hearing has been delayed. The public prosecutor has asked to see the file. Mr. Bayrou has intervened.
The magistrate says he doesn't remember this exchange. What he does remember very well, however, was François Bayrou's visit to his home in 1998, when he was no longer a minister, but an MP and president of the local council.
He was very worried about his son Calixte, who was a pupil at Betharram. In any case, the main topic was Betharram and the acts committed by Caricart, which for me were already well established, revolting and even despicable, and which I hadn't hidden from François Bayrou. That's all there was to it, and he couldn't believe it.
After 2 weeks in prison, Father Caricart was authorized to join the Vatican in Rome. He committed suicide 2 years later, and criminal proceedings against him were dropped. Of all Betharram's alleged attackers, only one has been imprisoned.
We're asking for the statute of limitations to change. For us, the pain lasts for our whole life. He has to pay.
The one they call the horse is the worst torturer. He's the one with the most complaints. There's 70 concerning him. And he's been saved by the statute of limitations. This is totally unfair and unacceptable for the victims. I'm thinking in particular of Olivier, who carefully counted the number of weeks when he was raped by this man. 71 consecutive weeks.
To date, 203 complaints have been lodged by former Betharram pupils. Only 2 of them deal with incidents for which the statute of limitations has not expired.
I'm John Zarakostas and I report from Geneva for France 24 News on major developments from UN peace talks, global health and